Hi, 25F, kissed another man when I was drunk. Should I tell my boyfriend, 28M? This past Friday my friend threw a huge party for her 26th birthday. It wasn't a particularly significant birthday, but her father always indulges all her requests, and her parties are always one of the highlights of the year. This year she was inspired after watching The Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix and wanted to throw a party in an abandoned building, and her father made it happen. I wasn't too involved with the planning this year because work kept me busy, so when I first heard the idea I was skeptical, but she pulled it off spectacularly. A little backstory on my boyfriend and I. We met at uni when I was 18 and had been close friends, slightly lost contact when we graduated and I got engaged. My fiancé died when I was 22 and he was great support to me during that time, and after that, since he moved to a city 4 hours away, we'd only exchanged the occasional text. Well, until February of this year when we both got slightly pissed at another party and slept together. He asked me out after that and we slowly transitioned into a relationship. Anyway, moving on, I woke up today with vague memories of what had happened the night before, but my body felt wrong. I know I got insanely drunk and stupidly said yes when I was offered ecstasy. I've only ever smoked weed in the past, and that was during uni. The UK is very strict about drag usage and my job requires a pretty intense background check. Even being in the vicinity of substances might get me fired. At the party I hung about with my friends towards the beginning of the night, but I turned into a social butterfly when I'm drunk, and I wandered off and ended up chatting to a friend of a friend I barely knew. He was quite flirty, and I remember mentioning pretty early on that I had a boyfriend, and he said he was just bantering. Now I can't remember who initiated it, but I remember kissing him. I don't for how long, but it felt pretty intense. After beating myself up and having a shower, I asked any of friends if they had witnessed anything, and one of them said she was the one who had dragged me away from the other guy after seeing me making out with him. She said as she grabbed me she could tell I was ridiculously drunk and had no idea what I was doing and took care of me the rest of the night. She had chosen not to say anything to me if I didn't remember, since it was just a drunken mistake, and my other friends agree with her. They said it's not worth blowing up my relationship with something like this since it doesn't mean anything and I barely remember what happened. She told me nobody else saw since we were in quite a secluded corner, and this secret would stay in between us, but I'm not sure how to proceed. He texted me this morning asking how I was and hoping I had a nice time and if my friend liked her present since he helped me shop for it, and I haven't been able to reply to him. I've got no words until I sort out what I'm going to do. I know these girls would never tell a soul what happened, but the guilt is killing me. I don't know how I'm going to face my boyfriend the next time I see him, even if I choose not to tell him. And if I do, then how do I deal with everything if he chooses to leave? I know I'll never do anything like this again because I'll never let myself be put in such a mindless state, but would it be absolutely horrible of me if I choose to just move on from this without telling him? I need objective advice because I know my friends are always going to try and protect and help me. I know I exhibited supreme lack of judgment, and would not mind any criticism, but don't slut shame, please. Relevant comments. Tell him and accept the repercussions as the cost of this mistake. There is no way out of it. Learn from this and grow as a person. OP. Yeah, I think this was definitely the wake-up call I needed about how I'm living my life. Comment. You think your secret will be safe with your friends, but this kind of thing always gets out eventually. So you have a choice between the following. 1. Coming clean with your BF now, confessing your mistake and promising never to get that shit faced again, and because you're being forthcoming, honest, and regretful, having the possibility that he will eventually forgive you, and maybe save your relationship. 2. Having him find out a month, 6 months, or a year down the road. At that point he will know that you hid it from him, lied by omission, and have a hard time proving and documenting what actually happened. He will never forgive you or trust you again if he finds out about it this way, and it is almost certainly a death knell for your relationship. OP. The possibility of him not forgiving me is what is terrifying to me, but you're completely right about it being worse if he finds out down the road. I don't think there's going to be a magical perfect outcome for me here. Comment. You should tell him. What you did is cheating. Being intoxicated is never an excuse for cheating. I don't know why so many cheaters think I was blackout is an excuse to do what they want. You're just like the rest of them and are unwilling to take responsibility for your actions. It wasn't the alcohol or drugs that made you cheat, it was your own decision. I've been so drunk that I had alcohol poisoning and I've been high as fuck. I still didn't cheat even if the opportunity was there. If he has any self-worth, he will leave you over it. But he absolutely deserves the truth. You shouldn't hide behind the intoxication excuse or claim that you had no idea what was happening. The fact that your brain was able to form memories of kissing him shows that you weren't so out of it that you didn't know what you were doing. OP. I know what I did constitutes as cheating. And I'm not using it as an excuse, simply describing the circumstances. Update. Thank you everyone for the advice left, especially the comments calling out my behavior. While they initially stung, you made me see the way I was trying to justify what I did instead of taking accountability. I got a dozen messages from people who had been in my boyfriend's position before, and I want to apologize if my post was triggering in any way. So I listened to the majority and told my boyfriend. I texted my boyfriend that I missed him a lot, and he said that he could drive down and stay for a couple of days since he could work remotely if he wanted to, but I don't have that option. He basically left as soon as I asked him to, and it takes him about 4 hours to reach my city, in which I had enough time to get the full story of that night. I asked a friend of mine if he could find out from the guy what happened without making it obvious I was asking, and he agreed. I asked him to call me when he did so me and my friends could listen in. I wanted to know exactly what he said so I knew what to tell my boyfriend. My friend is closer to the guy than I am, and they gamed together, so him going over to his flat wasn't an uncommon occurrence. Initially, he was worried that he wasn't a good actor, but I told him exactly how to bring it up and he did pretty well, to be fair. He said he had seen me and him kissing and asked what was going on. The other guy laughed the whole thing off, saying he didn't think I'd be such a slag and that my friend was a C-word for dragging me away. My friend said the situation was pretty fucked now since I had a boyfriend, and the other guy said if I didn't want him to kiss me then I shouldn't have hung around him all night, but my friends told me I wasn't around him for more than 20 minutes in total. At least now I know I'm not the one who initiated the kiss, and he was much more sober than me since he recalled things I had no recollection of saying. In my previous post I said I remembered mentioning my boyfriend, and he said that too, so I am trusting the little memories I have of that night. A couple people messaged me saying I had been taken advantage of, but I honestly can't say that, since I did kiss him back. That is a huge accusation to make, and I can't remember enough to even say that. Everything that guy said just confirmed to me that I needed to tell my boyfriend. I am furious with him for the way he talked about my friend, but I'm not going to waste any more time on him. While my boyfriend was driving down, I texted him that I needed to talk to him about something important as soon as he got here, so I wouldn't chicken out. I live with 2 of my girlfriends and they cleared out until I had talked to him, so I had no excuses. He looked so worried when he arrived. I think he thought I was going to break up with him since I was crying as well. He was being so unbelievably sweet and hugged me tightly and said he wanted to work it out and just wanted me to talk to him. So I sat him down and told him not to interrupt me and to let me finish. I told him everything, taking ecstasy, kissing another guy and waking up not remembering anything. I even told him that I contemplated not telling him anything and what the guy said on the phone. Absolutely everything. He was holding my hand tightly in the beginning, and by the end of it he had his head in his hands as he listened to me finish. He just sat there in the end and stared at the floor. I knew I needed to give him time, but I don't know how long we both just stared into space. I had no clue what he was thinking. I would have preferred if he just yelled so we could at least talk. I wanted to shake him into saying anything. When he finally spoke, his voice sounded soft and hurt. He asked me if I actually did want to see him, or if I made him drive 4 hours just so I could tell him I kissed someone else. I said I did miss him but knew I needed to tell him what had happened and didn't want to do it on the phone. I told him that I wanted to take full accountability, and that as drunk or high as I was, that was no excuse, and I was so very sorry for hurting him this way. After this I know I can't trust myself to drink in a responsible way, and now I'm going to cut back on it. I plan to go fully sober for 1 month just so I know I can, and that nothing like this happens again. He replied that this had just confirmed every insecure thought he had about our relationship. He said he always felt like I had one foot out the door and that he had pressured me into this relationship, and maybe what I did was a way of getting out of it. I said it was a drunken mistake, and it didn't mean anything further. He said it meant he loved me but I didn't love him, and had this been any other girl in his past he would have been out the door, but he couldn't do that with me just yet. And I couldn't fight him on that. I couldn't say I loved him right now. I cared for him a lot, and I could see myself being in love with him in the future, but I'm not there right now. I haven't been in a relationship since my fiancé, and it's been difficult for me to open up my heart to someone else. I'm terrified of being left by someone else I love. I asked him if he could see himself ever forgiving me, and he said that he didn't know right now. I know I'm not the victim here, but hearing that was so painful I just started sobbing, and being the amazing man that he is, he comforted me and I felt so disgusted with myself for hurting him. He held me against his chest, stroked my hair and let me cry it out. And then he left, saying he was going to get a hotel and come back tomorrow so we could talk when we're not so emotional, and after he decided what he wanted moving forward. I told him he could stay in my room and I'd sleep on the sofa, but he said he didn't think he could be around me right now and make a rational decision. Right now I'm fighting the urge to go to him and make him stay any way I can. I know there's no magical words that'll fix this. Also, has anyone ever been through anything like this, and how did you and your partner work past it? Update 2. This past week has been pretty shit. My boyfriend came back the next day, and his demeanor had completely changed. I tried to hug him, and he sidestepped me, and asked if we could go on a walk to talk since he didn't need my friends as an audience. Before he could speak I apologized again and promised to do whatever to make it up to him, and he said I didn't need to do that. He said he thought about it all night, and came to the conclusion that we never should have started dating no matter how in love he was. That the conception of our relationship was from me being drunk and sleeping with him, and that he should have treated it like a mistake rather than the start of a relationship. He said he was tired of feeling like a second thought, and apparently I made him feel that way. I kept on saying I wanted to be with him even though I know he deserves better, and that I knew what I was doing when we got together, and in what circumstances did I make him feel like he didn't matter? He said he's seen me in relationships when I care and love the person, and he didn't get any of that. After my fiancé died, he was the one that pushed me to go to therapy, and I always refused since I didn't think I needed it, and he brought that up as well and said my life would continue to be a mess and I would continue to hurt other people until I broke my destructive patterns and actually dealt with my emotions. I just had no clue what to say. I admit I'm the one that fucked up, but it's one fuck up, it's not always indicative of some larger problem. A mistake is a mistake sometimes. He said he still loved me but knew carrying on with a relationship right now would cause more problems between us later down the line, and he didn't want that. I told him I didn't understand. If he loved me, how could he leave me? I still don't understand. He said just because we wouldn't be together didn't mean he'd disappear from my life. He said anything that happened between us right now would be tarnished, and he wanted a relationship without guilt, and that wouldn't be possible right now. I saw how painful it was for him to say all of that to me. I'd never seen him cry before. He left after that since I couldn't talk to him anymore. I just felt so hurt and abandoned and then felt guilty for feeling like that since I was the one who fucked up, and it was just a vicious cycle. He kissed me when he said goodbye, and said he'll check up on me soon. He texted me the next day, just asking how I was, and I didn't know how to reply, so I didn't. He still messages every day, asking how I am and that he really wishes I would text back since he's worried about me. I can't find it in me to reply. I know he's asked my friends about me, but they said he just seemed concerned about me. I still can't believe he ended it. The only positive is that I've not drank any alcohol in about a week, and it's much more difficult than I initially anticipated, but I'm going to carry on, and try and finish a month. I'll update if anything else changes, but it probably won't.